In the theater of modern celebrity, no performance is more demanding than the one that never ends. For Dwayne Johnson, whose 500 million social media followers represent the largest audience any entertainer has ever commanded, authenticity became not a choice but a product. Algorithmically optimized, focus group tested, and perpetually performed. What began as genuine connection transformed into something far more sinister. A digital panopticon where every smile was surveilled, every vulnerable moment monetized, and every authentic impulse suffocated by the relentless demand for brand consistency. The tragedy of The Rock's social media empire lies not in its fabrication, but in how that fabrication eventually consumed the man himself. When Johnson first joined Instagram in 2013 at Dana White's urging, the promise was simple: you will engage in ways that nobody's doing. White understood something profound about Johnson's appeal: his ability to make massive audiences feel personally connected to him. But neither man anticipated how that connection would metastasize into a surveillance system more comprehensive than any government could design. Consider the psychology of Johnson's daily posts. The 4 a.m. workout videos, shot in darkness with military precision. These weren't spontaneous moments of motivation, but carefully choreographed performances of discipline. Each post followed an invisible script: grateful tone, motivational messaging, strategic product placement. The Iron Paradise wasn't just his home gym. It was a content production facility designed to manufacture inspiration on an industrial scale. The algorithm rewarded this performance handsomely. Johnson's engagement rates soared, his brand value multiplied, and studios began factoring his social media reach into film budgets. But algorithms are unforgiving masters. They demand consistency, growth, and above all, performance of happiness. The moment Johnson's content deviated from the established pattern, the moment he appeared tired, frustrated, or genuinely human, the engagement metrics would punish him. This digital feedback loop created what we might call authenticity paralysis. Johnson became trapped in performing a version of himself that may have once been genuine, but was now sustained only by algorithmic validation. The man who built his wrestling career on reading crowds and adapting in real time found himself enslaved to engagement algorithms that demanded perfect consistency. The turning point came with the In-N-Out Burger trilogy, 3 separate occasions where Johnson claimed to be trying the California chain for the first time. The first instance in 2017 seemed innocent. The second in 2022 raised eyebrows. The third in 2023 broke the internet. Reddit exploded with posts calling him fake and a walking billboard. The pattern revealed something disturbing. Johnson had become so disconnected from his own experiences that he genuinely couldn't remember what he had or hadn't done before. This wasn't simple lying, it was something more pathological. The algorithm had trained him to perform novelty so consistently that genuine experience became secondary to the content it could generate. The first-time narrative tested well with focus groups and drove engagement. Truth became irrelevant when metrics were the only measure of success. The corporate conditioning ran deeper than most realized. In his conversation with Brendan Fraser, Johnson revealed how WWE had programmed this behavior. Vince and the company always told me, "You can't smile enough." Every night they were chanting "Rocky sucks," and I had to smile through it. The bosses were telling me, "No, you got to smile. Ignore it." This training to ignore authentic emotional responses in favor of brand consistency became the blueprint for his social media empire. But the psychological toll was mounting. Industry insiders began reporting concerning behavior: chronic lateness to sets, demanding the largest trailers, requiring that his characters never lose fights on screen. The man who preached humility had become Hollywood's most high-maintenance star. His social media posts grew longer, more defensive. The spontaneous charisma that built his empire was being replaced by corporate speak and manufactured gratitude. The algorithm's demands extended beyond content creation into Johnson's physical existence. His much-debated physique, the subject of persistent steroid speculation, represented another facet of digital authenticity crisis. In an age where every photo is scrutinized, where fitness influencers are exposed for pharmaceutical assistance, Johnson's continued claims of natural enhancement rang increasingly hollow. But admitting to steroid use would shatter the foundational myth of his brand, that extraordinary results come from extraordinary effort alone. This created a double bind: maintain the lie and face increasing skepticism, or admit the truth and destroy the inspirational narrative that generates billions in revenue. The algorithm doesn't care about truth. It cares about engagement, and nothing drives engagement like the perpetual performance of superhuman achievement. The Red One debacle exemplified how this digital conditioning bled into real-world consequences. Reports surfaced of Johnson arriving 7 to 8 hours late daily, sometimes not showing up at all, while maintaining his 4 a.m. workout posts. The contradiction was stark. The man preaching discipline to 500 million followers was holding entire productions hostage to his whims. But the social media machine kept running, posting motivational content while crews sat idle, costing studios millions. Even more bizarrely, Johnson's admission to urinating in water bottles on set, framed as efficiency rather than entitlement, revealed how completely he had internalized the performance. Basic human needs were reframed as dedication to craft, antisocial behavior as superhuman commitment. His followers weren't just consuming content, they were consuming a lifestyle mythology that had severed all connection to normal human experience. The psychological architecture of this digital prison is particularly insidious because it masquerades as connection. Johnson regularly responds to comments, shares fan stories, creates the illusion of intimate relationship with millions of strangers. But this isn't connection. It's parasocial performance at unprecedented scale. He knows the algorithm rewards engagement, so he performs engagement, creating an elaborate theater of caring that exhausts the performer while never truly satisfying the audience. The Venice Film Festival moment, where Johnson broke down in tears during the standing ovation for The Smashing Machine, represented perhaps his first authentic public emotion in years. Significantly, it occurred while he was literally invisible, buried under 22 prosthetics, playing someone else entirely. Only by completely erasing himself could The Rock appear human again. This moment illuminated the central paradox of his digital empire. In seeking to show everything, he had hidden himself completely. The algorithm demanded constant visibility, perpetual performance, endless content. But authentic human experience requires privacy, vulnerability, the space to fail without surveillance. Johnson's 500 million followers weren't just an audience. They were wardens in a prison of his own construction. The broader implications are chilling. If someone as powerful and media-savvy as Dwayne Johnson can be consumed by algorithmic demands, what hope do ordinary users have? His social media empire represents the logical endpoint of our attention economy, complete subsumption of authentic experience into content creation. We're all performing ourselves online, but Johnson shows us where that performance leads when taken to its ultimate conclusion. The algorithm of authenticity promises genuine connection while delivering perfect isolation. It rewards vulnerability while punishing actual weakness. It demands constant performance while calling it natural behavior. Johnson's digital prison is simply the most visible example of a cage we're all building for ourselves, one post at a time. The most insidious aspect of Johnson's digital prison is how it weaponizes genuine human needs against their owner. The desire for connection becomes content strategy. The need for validation transforms into engagement metrics. The search for meaning gets reduced to viral moments. Every authentic impulse is immediately processed through the algorithmic filter. Will this perform well? Does it align with brand values? This creates what psychologists call emotional labor, the exhausting work of managing feelings to create desired impressions in others. But Johnson's emotional labor operates at unprecedented scale, performed not for a boss or customers, but for an abstract algorithm that never rests, never forgives, and never provides genuine satisfaction. The Rock isn't just entertaining 500 million people. He's emotionally servicing them, one post at a time. The financial stakes make escape nearly impossible. Johnson's social media influence translates directly into box office power, brand partnerships, and business opportunities worth hundreds of millions. His Instagram account isn't just a platform, it's crucial industrial infrastructure. Walking away would be economic suicide, but staying means continued psychological erosion. This is the true genius of algorithmic control. It doesn't force compliance through threat, but through reward. The golden handcuffs are invisible until you try to remove them. Johnson built his empire by giving the algorithm what it wanted, and now the algorithm owns him completely. Yet there are glimpses of resistance. His decision to take The Smashing Machine, a small, unglamorous film requiring complete physical transformation, suggests growing awareness of his predicament. Under 22 prosthetics, with his voice altered and body unrecognizable, Johnson found something he had lost: the ability to disappear into performance rather than performing himself. The Venice breakdown wasn't just emotional release, it was recognition. For those 15 minutes surrounded by critics rather than social media followers, Johnson experienced authentic appreciation for work. No engagement metrics, no brand considerations, just human recognition of artistic achievement. Perhaps this points toward escape, not abandoning social media entirely, but finding spaces where the algorithm's influence weakens. Art house cinema, theater, any medium that prioritizes craft over clicks. Johnson's path back to authenticity might require choosing projects that don't optimize for algorithmic success. But the question remains whether someone can step back from the machine without being crushed. Johnson's empire depends on constant feeding of the algorithm. Reduced posting frequency, declining engagement metrics, or genuine vulnerability could trigger career consequences. The algorithm of authenticity reveals its final cruelty. It makes authentic behavior appear inauthentic. When Johnson shows genuine emotion at Venice, observers question whether it's calculated. When he admits to urinating in bottles, people wonder if it's strategic transparency. The machine has taught us to suspect every human moment as potential performance. This is Johnson's legacy. Not just transformation of celebrity culture, but corruption of authenticity itself. He showed how to monetize genuineness, but made genuine moments suspect. The algorithm of authenticity doesn't just imprison performers, it trains audiences to doubt reality of any emotional display. In our age of infinite content, perhaps the most radical act would be to stop performing entirely. But for Dwayne Johnson, whose identity has become algorithmic product, escape may be impossible. He created the most sophisticated authenticity machine in history, only to discover he was trapped inside. The algorithm is always watching, always learning, always optimizing. And somewhere in Hollywood, The Rock is still smiling, still posting, still performing happiness for an audience that will never be satisfied. His followers want authenticity, but they've created a system that makes authenticity impossible.